Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Gaming Gig podcast, we're exploring the habits of the enigmatic tribe known as gamers.
All right, Danny boy. The wild, wonderful, crazy world of gamers today.
We might as well be National Geographic, like going on scene with an indigenous tribe.
A tribe that we also happen to be a part of, I will say.
Well, we're like the people that bring them in. We're like the god of the National Geographic guy. Yeah. You know, they always have like an inside man.
We're the inside man.
We're the inside man.
We're your inside man. We're going to bring you into
Roger
the world
that.
of gamers, and we're going to talk about a couple different topics about the habits of gamers and what gamers do. And the first topic today is how many gaming consoles do you have hooked up and ready to play? Now, before we get to the poll, I want to ask you, Daniel, how many gaming consoles do you have hooked up and ready to play?
Does my PC count?
I don't think a PC is strictly a gaming console, so I'm going to say no. I think we should talk about dedicated gaming devices only.
Okay. Does my Steam Deck count?
Yes.
Okay. But so what about, where do handhelds fall in this?
Handhelds are not hooked up and ready to play. I'm talking about like gaming consoles. I'm saying no handhelds.
So no Steam Deck?
No PC. Oh, but the Switch and Steam Deck, I think, count.
Okay.
Because those are handheld hybrids. Hybrids count.
Okay. Hybrids count.
And I think at the end of the day, the Steam Deck leans more into being a gaming console than it does a PC. Because it's really
Absolutely.
like it comes with Steam OS. It's really like set up to be a gaming console,
Yeah.
not necessarily a PC, although it is.
Right. Okay. So I have the Switch. I have a PS5. I have a Series X. I have a Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I have other things that are certainly quickly accessible.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm going to say 4.
4. Okay. That's a pretty good number.
How many do you have, Coyote? I mean, Randy.
I've got the Switch, I've got the PlayStation 5, I've got the Xbox Series X, I've got the Wii U, I've got the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Super Nintendo, and N64.
Mm-hmm.
And Wii.
Come on. Hit double digits.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else?
You got like a 360 hooked up?
No, I don't have a 360. I have, a couple 360s, but none hooked up, ready to go. I'm thinking I'm sitting at 9.
That sucks.
I know. So close to the double digits.
That's a big number.
Yeah, a lot.
Your dedication to having the retro systems hooked up is admirable.
Yeah.
I just emulate that stuff.
Well, and that's definitely a legit way to do it. But the point is, us gamers are I think even 4 is a lot. I think
it is too.
It's a lot. Because when we look at the poll here, we put out a poll and it says how many consoles you have hooked up and ready to play. The number one answer was 2 consoles hooked up and ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
And then following that was 1 with 23%. And then 4 at 20%. And then 3 at 18%. But 40% of people said 2. So.
Mm-hmm. And I bet you most of that is a Switch and either a PlayStation or an Xbox.
I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right about that. But we have some comments on here where we can kind of go into it. So, right along with me at 9, we have Bad Media Track who said, I've got 9, but 2 TVs, 1 for retro and 1 for HD.
I like it. You got your big like CRT hooked up? I like that.
That's something that was my original plan, was to have 1 like old CRT hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for a little bit, but I only had like 1 console hooked up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was going to have my, HD TV for all the new stuff. But I just found that it was, kind of inconvenient to do that. Mm-hmm. It was more convenient for me to have it all in 1 TV.
Yeah. I want an old CRT. Mm-hmm. But I want one that's not that big. So, yeah, if you got any leads, let me know.
Yeah. The one I have is a decent size, but it's not like tiny. It's not huge. It's a good size.
Yeah,
it is heavy though.
I would like to have like a little CRT, and then have like my retro stuff, maybe in like some sort of shelf/cart like format, like.
Oh, like one of those carts you push around that you saw people push around in the schools, right?
Yeah, but I don't really need it to move. I just need it to have like little shelves.
Okay.
So
it would be cool if it could move.
I mean, what's
Then
the
you
point
could-
in that?
Yeah, and then you could have it strapped down with a little strap like they used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. But I love this comment about having two TVs, one for the HD and then one for the retro stuff, because that's like the dream setup.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what we all dream about, because playing those old retro games on a CRT is like,
That's where it's at.
yeah, definitely. That is definitely the way it's at. We're assuming that that's the way it is.
I hope it is.
I hope you have the dream setup.
Yeah. All right. We got another comment from
This is-
user SP4W70C1B.
This is D18.
Yo, what it do, D18?
Yeah.
Who said, Switch and Xbox Series S, perfect combo for Game Pass / AAA titles and all the Nintendo exclusive your heart desires. Although sometimes I wish I could play those PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah. I mean, like you were saying earlier about the people who have two hooked up, a Switch and then like something else, like you said, either an Xbox or a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And I do think that is probably the way to go if you're going to have two gaming consoles hooked up.
Yeah.
I think having a Switch and then your choice of Xbox, PlayStation. I personally, if I had to go for two, I think I would go PlayStation, but it would be a tough one because having that Game Pass machine, like that is super cool.
It is.
And-
It is. I'm kind of excited to, when, I'm going to re-up Game Pass when Starfield comes out, and I'm kind of excited to just, like, explore it and see what's on there now.
Yeah,
been a long time
some
since
things
I've
have
had it,
changed. Yeah, definitely. And it changes, very often. So
Yeah.
but having a like I bought an Xbox to have a Game Pass machine. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie to you.
And I hear that so much on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So many people will say, I have my Series S, but it's just a Game Pass machine. I hear it all the time.
It's
on
great though
multiple
because the
channels.
Series S is so cheap, it's so affordable. I've seen where on Amazon right now you can get a refurbished Series S for $200.
That's awesome.
I mean, $200 to get you into the current generation of systems. That's such a great price. I think that is what Series S has going for it, plus Game Pass. Mm-hmm. I see why it sells decently. I don't know if it sells as well as the Series X, but it probably sells really well. It may sell better. Who knows?
I bet it sells well.
Yeah. And now we got the new one, the black one coming out that has the big hard drive.
Yes. Now, speaking of exclusive consoles, though, that ain't gonna touch that Spider-Man PlayStation.
That's pretty cool.
Man, I didn't comment on it, and I don't remember like what I was doing. I feel like I might have saw this post on Discord at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
But when you posted that in there, I was like, that is sexy.
Yeah. And by the way, if you guys are interested in that PlayStation Spider-Man 2 console, they are selling the faceplates separate. So you don't have to buy a new console to get that machine that looks that way.
That's awesome.
You can just buy the faceplates, which is, significantly cheaper.
That's cool.
I'm glad. I think that's a really cool pro-consumer move that Sony's doing, that they've built into this PlayStation 5 system that we haven't really seen before.
No.
We've definitely had consoles that had swappable faceplates, but they've mostly been from Nintendo and handhelds.
Yeah.
I think, to my knowledge, I can't think of another system that had this easily swappable faceplates.
No.
That was like a home console.
No. You know about the stuff with PlayStation and D-Brand? You know about all that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That stuff's so funny.
Yeah.
D-Brand, they're very cheeky.
Yeah, they're funny.
All right, so before we move on, we want to tell you about the Twitch. Now, we have a Twitch channel, believe it or not. However, it's been inactive for a few days because we got hit by a big old storm on Thursday, and we lost power for like over 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we weren't able to stream on Thursday, but we'll be back on Sunday just without Randy.
I won't be there.
And by the time this podcast comes out, that will be in the past.
And then there'll be another thing
Yeah.
I won't be there.
Yeah.
We're going on vacation. But yeah, join us on Twitch. There is a link in the description of this podcast, and you can find us there. So
Yep.
we'd love to see you come hang out with us on Twitch. It's 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. All right. So our next little thing that we're going to explore with gamers is we're going to talk about how gamers describe their video game buying habits.
Okay.
So yeah, put out a poll saying, how would you describe your video game buying habits?
Okay. Well, at a whopping 8%, people said, I almost never buy games. Those people might be sailing the high seas. At a massive 8%, people said they buy multiple games per month. At a slightly less massive 22%, people said, I buy a game every month or so. And at a measly 63%, people said, I buy a few games per year.
See, I wouldn't have expected the few games per year.
Me
I
neither.
know that there are people like, especially when I was growing up, that's all we got were a few games a year.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that was like,
Christmas and birthday kind of
right,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that was what we got. So I knew that was like that's a very that's a big reality for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have expected the I buy a game every month or so. I would have expected that to be the most popular answer, and it
Yes.
wasn't. So
Yeah, that's what I would expect it to. It was second place, but it's a pretty big difference there.
I mean, the majority of people saying they only buy a few games a year. So that's something to keep in mind, when we're talking about games. And that's why it's so important to make sure that the games that you buy are worthy of your time and money. Because if you're only buying a few games a year, you want to make sure that those games that you buy are going to be worth it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I like things like reviews and those types of things are super important. And also, if you can only buy a few games a year, make sure you wait until you know that the game is good. Being there day one is a gamble.
Yes, and I wonder if these people that are buying just a few games a year, if they also have like a Game Pass subscription.
Oh yeah, see, that's another great one. Yeah. Game Pass is great for that, for sure.
All right, we got a comment from our boy Tom Derry, who said, "My name is Tom. I'm an addict." Hey Tom. I realized I had a problem when I bought Tears of the Kingdom before even opening my copy of RE4 and Metroid Prime and 3 other recent purchases. My backlog is dying down, so maybe I can start feeding my addiction again.
Tom, it sounds like you've admitted that you're an addict, but you haven't admitted that you need to try to fix the problem. Seems like you're trying to get back in as quickly as possible.
Well, he's taken his first step, and that's admitting that he has a problem.
Right.
But yeah, no, man, just dive back in. You do you.
I mean, in your defense, Tom, there are a lot of really great, hard-hitting games that you just want to get in on day one, and they all came out around the same time. So.
Yeah, I have Metroid Prime, and I haven't played it yet. So I mean that's real for me too. I mean, no worries.
Yeah, it happens. It happens, especially as you get older, it's hard to find the time to put in all these games.
I'll tell you what happens to me. I'm probably not unique here, but my game buying comes in waves, and it really happens about 4 times a year during the Steam sale. I've noticed, because I buy lots of games during the Steam sale because you can do it for cheap. So I mean, yeah, you just can't play them all immediately.
No, you got to give yourself time. In fact, I'd say right now is backlog season. We got Pikmin 4, but otherwise there's not a whole lot of huge games coming out. And so right now is the time of year. This particular year, we're in about the lulliest lull that you're going to get, and it's going to die away pretty soon. So,
lully lull.
And now's the time to be hitting that backlog. All right, we got a comment here from CVO GT Strom. I don't know how to pronounce Savogstrom. There we go. I wait for the sales on Steam. As for Switch games, I buy them once I've beaten what I've played. I haven't paid full price for a game in a long time that wasn't a Switch game. So a couple things here. Yeah, one, Switch games rarely go on sale.
Yep.
So if you're going to buy Switch games, you might as well just buy them when you want to play them because they're probably not going to go on sale. But also, I love the idea of only playing a game once you've beaten what you have so far. That's the way to do it. I mean, as long as you like the games. Don't, force yourself to play a game that you hate or something, but
man,
I just like that.
I think you might be this guy might be like a rare unicorn, because if you're really strict on yourself about you don't go on until you've beaten what you're playing, I think you're in a very elite group there.
Yeah. I mean, I like to finish games.
That would be this sounds like a no backlog situation,
don't have a backlog. Yeah.
That would be insane. Like that. I'm very proud of you.
Very impressive. I like it. I like the mentality. I like the way you're doing things. Next, we got Larry House, who said, it's hard to buy games anymore. $90 to start in Canada is just ridiculous. Premium and gold editions easily reach $160. AAA titles were always $59.99 when I was growing up. This has definitely made me much more selective over what I buy. It has made me less likely to try new things, which is unfortunate.
Man, that Canadian upcharge is real.
It is.
But don't worry about those premium and gold editions.
No. We talked about that last week. We got into talking about those and about how they're generally a waste of money.
Just fork out the 90.
It's still the 90. I mean, come on now.
That's rough, man.
Look, I mean, I actually almost put out a poll this week asking if the price of new games has turned you off from playing games. Because I was thinking about it and I was thinking like, man, it is crazy how expensive things are right now.
It is.
I don't know what, how these publishers, I know they need to make money. I don't know what the game price needs to be for them to both make money and to sell the most copies. I'm sure they've done the market research and they figured it out. But still, they are expensive. There's just no way around it.
Yes. That $70 is tough.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
And it's there's some psychology there because $60 isn't cheap. But if we think to ourselves like about $10, most of us are probably like, well, I can afford $10 on something. It's only a $10 difference, but it feels massive.
It does.
I think it's just because that $60 price has been there for so long.
Right.
And now that it's changing, it's just, it's tough for us all.
It really is. It's tough. And I really don't buy that many games new. I really don't. I just bought Pikmin 4, but besides Pikmin 4, I don't remember the last game I just bought outright and paid full price for because I do a lot of things through GameFly. I rent games. So most day one releases that I get, I rent through GameFly, so I don't pay full price for them. I just pay the rental fee, and so I just don't buy that many, and it's because they're so expensive. Like Final Fantasy 16, I did not buy. I rented it, and I'm going to return it, and I may eventually buy a copy for myself down the road once it's cheap. But right now, it's a $70 game.
Yeah,
and it's just like I just can't justify spending $70 on that many games.
Yeah.
But I do it with Pikmin because it's a Nintendo game.
Is that $70?
No, it's $60.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But, like Tears of the Kingdom was probably the last game I bought full price. And I generally do it with Switch games because I know they don't go on sale. And that's what we were talking about earlier. So I just go ahead and buy them.
Yeah, and Tears of the Kingdom was worth $100, so that's okay.
Yeah, what a great game.
What a game. All right, we got a comment from Jay, TG9UV. Said, I usually buy like 2/3 of a game a month. I'm just kidding. It's 2 to 3 games a month. However, I mostly play $5 to $15 indie games, so it's not like I'm spending a ton of money. Hey, that's a great way to do it. I love picking up cool little indie games, like especially during those Steam sales, like I was saying,
Yep. And you can get them even significantly cheaper than 5 to 15. You can get them for just a couple bucks.
Right. And there's always like the new indie hotness. Like right now, it's Dave the Diver. Have you heard about Dave the Diver?
I saw it on the last week when I was doing research on the Steam chart. That was one of the games that was a popular game right now. That wasn't a live service game.
Yeah. Dave the Diver. It doesn't seem like something I would love. I haven't picked it up, but it's like all the rage right now. Before that, it was Dredge, and I do have Dredge because I got it on sale, and I'm looking forward to playing it eventually. But yeah, I think that's a great idea, man. Indie games can be solid.
Yep. So we got one more topic we're going to talk about, but before we get there, I want to tell you guys about our Discord server. We would love for you to join our Discord server. There is an invite link in the description of this podcast, wherever you're getting it. And come join us. We talk about games there, but it's also a good way to keep track of when we go live on Twitch, when we post new videos to the main channel or here to the podcast channel, or really just anything, to do with us. We're there all the time, but it's just a good place to talk games with people.
Oh, yeah. A lot of cool people on there. And us.
But you can get over us if there's all those cool people, right?
Right. That's what I was getting
at. It makes it worth it. All right. So, last topic of the day. We're talking about where do gamers get their gaming news? Hit us with that poll there, Daniel.
Well, at 5%, people said gaming websites like IGN, GameSpot, etc. At 4%, no, actually, we'll save that one. At 9%, people said social media. That's Twitter, your Reddits, your Facebooks, your MySpaces, right? At 82%, people said YouTube channels. And at 4%, people said somewhere else.
And now we did ask this question on YouTube. So Ray Chi commented and said, I suspect there's some kind of bias here. Yeah, probably. I'm sure that if like IGN had put out this poll on their website, it would have been, skewed very much towards like gaming websites.
Probably.
And, if I put it out on a Twitter poll, maybe it would have gone towards social media or something. But, I do think that a lot of gamers go to YouTube.
Heck yeah.
I would say probably the majority, even though I know that this is biased.
Yeah, it might not be 82%, it might be 81%, but I think most people do go to YouTube. And I was joking about it when I was reading the results, but Spawn Waves is where to go.
Yeah, Spawnwave is the place to get your gaming news. I mean, come on. There are lots of great places, but I mean, John over at Spawnwave has been, consistently putting out daily gaming news for many years.
Yes.
And, he's a great, if you don't know about John over at Spawnwave and what he's doing, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a great place to get your gaming news every day in a straightforward, no spin sort of way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. He's like the modern day Walter Cronkite of gaming news.
Definitely. But no, he really does he definitely it's not super, he doesn't go too much into his opinions on it. He does, he definitely has his opinions on things.
Yeah.
And he has enough of it, but really he's just about letting you know what's going on in the world of gaming, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my news. That is what I don't pay attention to politics and stuff. So, my news is gaming news.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't watch Newswave every single day, but I watch it 2 or 3 days a week, probably.
It's my morning routine, man.
I've also started trying to listen to that NPR First Take podcast again. I used to listen to that every day. It's like a short little podcast about what's the top, news articles in the world. This is not gaming related. It's just me related. But I like that too. If you could do some Newswave and NPR First Take, I think you'd be pretty informed.
I just need Newswave from John. That's all I need.
Anyway, Alessandro says, yeah, sometimes important real world things happen everybody talks about, but I only know when the new games come out. Yeah, that's like Randy.
Seriously. I can tell you when the new game's coming out, though. And I can tell you what score it got on a Metacritic. And I can tell you if it's probably worth checking out or not, even if it's not a game I've played. Because I love that kind of stuff, man. I really do. I love keeping track of what's going on in the gaming world. There's some gaming news stuff that I don't care about.
Yeah.
Like, you may have noticed that we have not put out a podcast on the whole, Activision.
Oh, yeah, the Activision deal.
The Activision deal with Microsoft. I don't still have much to say about it. I don't really know,
Yeah.
I guess part of me, if I had to care about it, I wouldn't care about I don't care about is this gonna bring Microsoft and Xbox back into the fight, because that's too console war. I just don't really care about it. I mean,
you know why
we talk about console war stuff, but we do it on a different kind of basis.
So the reason I don't really care so much about it is because it's all centered around Call of Duty, and I don't give no craps about Call of Duty.
In fact, I have thought about the other day I was thinking if we were to ever make a podcast about this, I kind of think that we would make a podcast where we talk about how Call of Duty is becoming irrelevant and why is it the center of this conversation. Because I really do think, and I know that Call of Duty has been a juggernaut for sales, but if you look, I think I saw that Call of Duty has lost 50% of its player base over the last couple of years or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know the exact stat on that, and don't quote me on that.
Quote them on
but
that.
It's something like that. They have lost so much of their player base, and it's it's still probably going to be really successful, probably more successful than most video games. Even with a lot of its player base leaving, some of them will come back when a new game comes out and whatever.
Sure,
but I think that it is gradually becoming more and more irrelevant. I really do think that. I think military first-person shooters are starting to be on the decline. I don't think there's as much interest for them anymore. At least that's the way it feels from my perspective. I could be completely wrong about that.
And remember, this is coming from a guy who doesn't play military first-person shooters, same as me.
Right.
So, yeah, like I said, we don't give no craps, and it does kind of feel like they're on the decline, but there may be some bias here.
Right. I just keep hearing about, every new military first-person shooter that gets hyped up and comes out, it just very much disappoints. That happened with recent Call of Duty games. It happened with Battlefield. It's just it keeps happening, even with things that are adjacent, like Halo. It just doesn't seem like it has the same hype behind it anymore that it used to.
Yeah, I think it's like those fantasy shooters are taking over. Fortnite. I guess you could call it fantasy. It certainly can be. Depends on the freaking season. But then you got your Valorant and stuff like that. It's the more sci-fi, Destiny, like the sci-fi kind of stuff is bigger. It
I don't
seems
know.
like.
It all comes down to the game and how much fun it is. But it just seems like, for whatever reason, that Call of Duty's on the decline, in my opinion. But like I said, I'm not in that world. So that's probably, take that with a grain of salt. Because I can have an opinion, it can be wrong. I will admit it.
I'll admit that too. Randy can do that.
Guys, you have hung out with us all the way to the end of the podcast, and we want to celebrate you and kind of shout you out at the end of our next podcast for making it. Because we really appreciate you guys being here, because without you, we wouldn't be able to do this.
That's right. We have this thing called the 3 for Dale Club. Okay, so the 3 for Dale Club is like our exclusive tribe within the tribe, right? And I'm using the word tribe today. I don't know why. But to join the 3 for Dale Club, all you got to do is drop us a comment on the YouTube version of this video and say whatever the crap you want to say, but leave 3 for Dale somewhere in your comment.
Yep. If you leave 3 for Dale, that lets me know that you made it all the way to the end, and I will write you down and we will shout you out at the end of the next podcast. As for today, we're going to start it off strong with the Laninator.
That's right, Laninator. Next up, we have Punchy Punch. And Punchy Punch, I'm glad you're doing fine, buddy.
Yep. Next, we got Cataclysm.
I think you did a good job with that.
I don't know, but glad to have you here. First time part of the 3 for Dale Club. Glad you're here.
That's right. First time, long time. Next up, we have Camo 1204. And thank you for the kind words there, Camo.
Yeah, so they loved our editing, thumbnails, and the energy we bring to them. That's so nice. Thank you.
I'm telling you what.
Next, we got Kuro Sleepyhead. First time member of the 3 for Dale Club. Thank you.
Wake up, bro. Next, we have Rodney Williams.
Rodney Williams. I want to say Rodney's been here before, but it may have been a little bit.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think so. Rodney's commented a lot. So I think maybe this isn't the first one. But if it is your first time, glad you're here.
Heck yeah.
All right, next we got Tom Derry. Tom, thank you for always commenting and being there on the Discord. Tom, you're awesome.
Next we have a guy I haven't seen in a minute, Guy and Tom. Welcome back.
Oh, Guy, man, so glad to have you back.
Yeah,
dude. Next we got AJK. That's Anthony, our buddy from Australia. I'm so glad I know that it's you now, Anthony. I'm sorry that I didn't. I don't know how I missed it. I don't know. I just didn't put the puzzle pieces together.
How would you have known?
I don't know.
He had to tell me on Twitch.
He did.
Next up, we got our boy Chicken. Chicken, thanks for being a member of the 3 for Dale Club.
Next, we have the longest running member of the 3 for Dale Club. It's Landon Stallings. Landon, man, you're always there for us. We so appreciate it.
Next up, we have Memo. Memo, thank you.
Memo, I think the first time. And then finally, rounding out, we got D18 back again in the 3 for Dale Club. Guys, today we had our largest 3 for Dale Club ever. 13 people. Man, it makes us super excited. We love this. It's crazy. We're just so glad that you guys are all hanging out with us and participating. And it really is nice to have our little community with you. We really appreciate it.
It means a lot. From two rednecks that are making a gaming podcast in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
It means a lot. So thank you so much.
We're just glad you guys like the content in any way. Just thank you. We couldn't do this without you, because at the end of the day, it's really all about you guys, because we read your comments. We take everything from you. So really it is about you. And we wouldn't, if it was just us talking, it wouldn't work.
We wouldn't have
it's
made
all
it,
about you guys.
We wouldn't have done 78 straight episodes if it was just us talking, because we already talk so much that we get tired of it.
True.
So if we didn't have you guys to bounce off of,
who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what would have happened. But thank you, guys. Thank you. And if you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, make sure to leave us at 3 for Dale so that we can shout you out next week, okay?
Yep.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Randy.
Which makes me Daniel.
This has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.